Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. I'm your host Clayton at Clayt's AFC on Twitter. Happy Easter weekend. The international break is over and it begins. The run-in begins every 3 days pretty much until the end of the season now, if we get to the Champions League semi-final. But even until then, it's every 3 days. Strap yourselves in. I'm fucking buzzing for it. I don't know about you guys watching and listening, but I am so excited for it. And I think in previous, like last year, I think I found it quite draining, and it probably will be draining as it goes along. But I just think 10 games to go, top of the league, in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, we're seeing the team evolve in front of us. Like, this is exactly where we want to be, right? And whatever happens, happens. Like, it's just a pleasure to kind of be there. And I think now it's interesting. Like, obviously, this is a City preview pod, so I'll go through, do the predicted lineup, score predictions, and talk about how I think the game will go. But I'm going into this game feeling very differently to how I did even last season, to be honest. Like last season, I remember this so clearly. Like, I was watching a Fever Pitch with my mate, was watching the 89 film, and it was one of those where my head said, I know we're going to lose, but my heart was like, no, we're going to win. It's just like reincarnating 89 all over again. But I think deep down I knew we weren't actually going to go and do anything at City. It feels different this time. It really does. And I even think we are the best team. I think we're better than them. I really do. I think if you look at even all of the metrics that are doing the rounds in terms of defensively, offensively, how we regain the ball, like I think we're the best team in the league. I just really hope we go and show that, in this platform where like the world is watching. It's literally against the best team in the world from last season, right? So we'll see how we get on. I'm just fucking excited. I'm lucky enough I actually got a ticket, so I'll be there, going with a couple of my mates. So that's going to be an experience and a half. But yeah, it's really interesting. Like I was just thinking, like reflecting in this international break, and I think that Porto game, like the second leg, I was an anxious mess. Like I literally, when I get anxiety, it's like I get like a really dry mouth, feel like I'm gagging and like gonna throw up and stuff. And I was like, why am I like so? Well, the why is obvious. It's because we all care so much, but I'm trying to approach it differently and just enjoy it. Because sure, if we lose, it's shit, but you can't go in thinking like, well, yeah, we're going to lose. And we also, as a fan, can't control that, right? So I think I would hate to look back at the end of the season and think for this final stretch, I was just so anxious throughout the whole time that I didn't actually enjoy the journey, like the highs and the lows. So I'm going to try just roll with the punches and try like, in a weird way, try like emotionally detach from it a little bit and just kind of enjoy it. So we'll see. Like I'll be back on Monday podding saying like, I was so stressed and I lost some hair. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that approach. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I genuinely think this team has got to a level where I think will surprise a few. I really do. I think the manner of the performance will shock a few people tomorrow. And yeah, the one thing I'm a bit apprehensive about is the whole managing games every 3 days in the Champions League is a bit new to us. And like obviously we did it in the Europa League, but Europa League's hard to gauge because you're rotating 11s and stuff like that. Whereas in the Champions League, I don't think you can afford to rotate like 3-4 starters. And I tweeted yesterday, like I think squad management over the next few weeks for us is going to be mostly done through substitutes and trying to make certain subs to maximize freshness and manage game states accordingly. And I think there'll be 1 to 2 starting 11 changes on a game-to-game basis. But I don't think it'll be 3 or 4. So that's the only thing I'm like not sure how we'll get on with managing that, because I look at the fixtures and obviously tomorrow is City. Wednesday we've then got Luton, and then Saturday Brighton, and then the following Tuesday Bayern Munich before a few days rest before Villa. And I'm looking like in those 4 games alone, the same starting 11 will not start all 4 games, surely. And I can see like the likes of Tomiyasu starting a game in there, Zinchenko starting a game, Partey potentially starting a game, alternating between Havertz, Trossard, Jesus, Martinelli. Yeah, but then I think people like Rice, Saka will probably start every game, and then they'll be the ones hooked early. So it'll be really interesting to see how that's managed. But yeah, that's something we'll touch on. And before I get into the actual preview, I've been waffling for 5 minutes. It's just warming it up, right? It's a nervous time for us, but an actual commitment from us on the channel as well. We're going to commit to do a preview and review pod for every single game until the end of the season now. So we're going to try graft our way through it as well. So we appreciate your support on the journey. And if you want to join us consistently on that, please obviously hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, rate us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that good stuff. Because it's going to be busy for us as well. But on we trot, predicted lineups. So we've obviously had a nice little break. Team news is probably the first thing to start on. So we had a behind closed doors friendly against QPR where we lost 4-0, but I don't think there's anything to read into that. But Tomiyasu got some minutes there. Partey got some minutes. Gabriel, Saka and Martinelli, Arteta said yesterday on Friday the 29th that they hadn't trained yet, but there's a training session today on Saturday the 30th where they have a chance. And I tweeted in my predicted lineup yesterday that I thought Martinelli would start. And I'm starting to change my mind on that one a bit. I actually think Saka and Gabriel will. But Martinelli, just thinking where he didn't actually play before the international break. So the lineup against Porto was obviously Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior, midfield three of Jorginho, Odegaard, Rice, and then the front three of Trossard, Havertz, and Saka. I'm now leaning towards thinking it's going to be the same starting 11. And just because Martinelli had like a deep cut, right? And I think if he didn't start in the Porto game and he hasn't trained yet, I don't think he'll just chuck him into the starting 11 straight away. There's no scientific. I wish Pontus was on this stream because he'd be able to give some good insight from a medical lens. But that's just an opinion of mine. It's not based on any science or evidence or anything. I just don't think he'll be ready to start. And Trossard left wing is interesting. It's not, I've said a few times, it's not something I love. I don't really like him there. I think he's more effective in central areas. And I've seen a few people talk about Jesus left wing, but I think for a game like this, especially if we're going for the midfield of Jorginho, Rice and Odegaard, I think Rice and Jorginho will play as more of like a traditional double pivot in this game. I know we speak a lot about 6 and 8 and this and that. I think this is a game where we just need different profiles that can occupy different zones in a fluid manner. And I think that's why having Havertz, Rice, Jorginho on the pitch gives you the ability to both control play, dominate midfield, and have an outball. And I think why I was mentioning Trossard left wing, I think if Jesus plays there, he's more susceptible to getting drawn into the centre too much. And I don't think Havertz or Rice will naturally go out and hold the width on the left. I think Kivior is capable of doing it, but you don't want to over-rely on him doing that. I think Trossard is more capable of holding that width than Jesus is. And I know a lot of people talk about pace, but Walker potentially might not be available, right? So, and Trossard, the pace thing is interesting because what game was it? I'm having a mind blank here, but Trossard picked up the ball on like the halfway line. Was it Liverpool? And he completely skinned the guy and like he ran through and he looked rapid there. So I think the pace thing's quite an interesting one. But Reece Nelson is someone that I wish we would have seen more on the left wing because I look at Martinelli's profile and okay, let me add a different comparison. When I talk about Jesus as a false nine, I always say Trossard stylistically and as a profile is the most similar to him. If I'm looking at what Martinelli gives us on the left wing, the only person in the squad that can come, I'm not saying he's as good or can do the same job, but the only person in the squad that can give us close to what he does in that area is, in my opinion, Reece Nelson. And obviously, God, no, like I don't think he will do that, and nor should he. But it's frustrating because I look at City and what their vulnerabilities are. And I really think, I've said this a lot, I think they have real vulnerabilities in just direct transitions. I think both centrally and in wide areas. I think pace just hurts them. I think you just run directly at them and they look susceptible. Like you look at the Liverpool game that they played against them. You look at the Villa game against City, even Man United, for God's sake, and they're shit. Like it's pace. And it's a shame we've not seen it yet, because I think if Reece Nelson had played in the left wing spot consistently so far, and there was enough evidence to suggest he was competent there, I think he would go for it, but I think it's too big of an occasion. It's too big of an unknown. It's too much of a risk, but it's a shame because my gut tells me I think he could give us some success playing there in this game, but I think it's too risky to go for that. So I think he'll go Trossard. And I think because of Rice and Jorginho potentially playing as more of a conservative double pivot, Trossard will have to be quite disciplined to hold the width. I don't think we will see Rice aggressively go and win the ball high up how we usually do. And I think the why is City are also as good at direct transitions, right? Like we've seen it in previous games against us once. They get past your midfield and then like De Bruyne is running directly at you and then he's got Haaland to feed into, then you're in danger. And I think that's where I'm so glad both Saliba and hopefully Gabriel are fit, because it enables us to squeeze the distances between our defense and forward lines, so City don't have as much space to run into. And yeah, that's it basically. It just minimizes distances. And then also what we've seen City do previously in the past, they've just gone long, right? And I think when it was Rob Holding, yeah, we were vulnerable there. But with these guys, I think I back them in a foot race against Haaland. Like we've seen it. Both of them have dealt like really well with Haaland. And in the home game, I want to say we limited them to no shots on target in 90 minutes, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game tactically. I think, because of what I've said in terms of different profiles, that's why I think he'll go with the same starting 11 again that started against Porto. I think you've got the combination there of being able to play from the back and potentially try and pass around City's press if they come out and press us. So you've got that in the first phase. In the middle phase, you've got the combination of Rice, Jorginho, and Odegaard mostly Rice and Jorginho with Odegaard a bit further up. But then you've got the combination of like the power and just overbearing their midfield, as well as potentially having that level of control and playing the short, quick passes to maneuver around in space, which you get through Jorginho. And then if you go through into the final third, and if we're getting pressed and we're struggling to pass out, you've got that out ball to Havertz as well, right? And Havertz is also brilliant at running the channels as well. So I think that's the 11 that gives us enough tactical flexibility to try different approaches within the game. I think this is a game where I'm not saying we're going to have this person starting 8, this person starting 6. I think it's going to be such a flexible game. Do you remember flexible tactical game? Remember, I think it was like Forest, first game of the season, or maybe Palace. It was after one of them games where someone asked Arteta about his system and he was like, oh, we played 51 different systems in the game. And I think we've been doing that all season, but I think this is a game where you'll see positional rotation on crack. I think it's going to be a really interesting tactical battle. But yeah, that's the lineup I'm going for. The Martinelli one is a pain in my arse, man. I think, especially if there's no Walker, that is something I really think we could get some joy there. I think Trossard will do okay there. I think I would rather him start there than Jesus for the reasons I've outlined in terms of who's more likely to be disciplined and stay and hold that width. Yeah, it's a tough one to call, but that's the lineup I'm going for. On City, so they've obviously had some injuries as well. Their last game was against Newcastle in the FA Cup, and the lineup for that was Ortega in goal. Back four was Walker, Diaz, Akanji, Vardiol. Midfield was Kovacic and Rodri, with the front four of Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Doku, and Haaland. And City's team news is interesting because obviously Walker went off for England, Stones went off for England. They've supposedly both been ruled out. So I'm not a tin hat conspiracy theorist. I just take that as face value. I'm probably naive there, but that's just, I'm like, what am I going to gain by questioning that? So I'm taking that at face value. And I'm just looking at FOTMob's predicted lineup for City. They've got Edison in goal, Akanji, Diaz, Ake, Vardio, midfield of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva, and then the front three of Foden, Hall, and Doku. And it's like, let's dissect that, right? It's I think that midfield and attack is a joke. Like, that is so good, but we are so good at defensively as well in terms of just managing structure and nullifying teams to next to nothing. Even Man City, even fair enough, like they didn't have Rodri and De Bruyne in the home game, but I still back our structure as a midfield and defense to not nullify them, but restrict them, let's say. But I look at that defense, Akanji, Diaz, Ake, Vardio. I think we can get a lot of joy there, I think we can isolate them. I think Havertz, like, you look how well he performed against fucking Van Dijk and Kanate. I look at Diaz and Ake, and I think he can bully them. I really believe that. Akanji in the fullback area, like, I know a lot of it will be him coming in and tucking in next to Rodri. For me, this is a case of try and play around their press. Failing that, just go direct. I think if we go direct, we can really bully as a stretch, but I think we can get a lot of joy against this City team. And I think it's going to be a chess match, right? It's going to be periods where it's going to be, no, I take that back. It's not going to be a chess match. It's going to be a boxing match. But I think, like, lots of jabs, just feeling each other out. And then I think there'll be the odd moment where a team spots a little bit of a potential vulnerability and they go and they really hone in on it. But it's such a tight game to call. Just shout out to a few of the guys in the chat as well. So Bungle's in, Elevate. He thinks all three will start in terms of Gabriel, Martinelli, and Saka. Uncle Mike's in as well. All right, lads. Bungle, yes, Mike. Think it's now been confirmed. No Walker and Stones. And Mike says he still doesn't believe it. So yeah, it's interesting. I think everyone has differing opinions on that, but tactically, I don't know, that my gut is saying I think we will go there and shock a few. And I don't mean like we'll go there and win comfortably, just more, I think the benchmark for me was last season. And I think it'll be a completely different game to that. I think that game, in my opinion, our players looked beat the minute they stepped onto the pitch. And just City ran rings around us, really. And I think now the addition of Raya, the outlet that Havertz gives, the dominance Rice brings, I think we'll more than hold our own, And the one thing I'm struggling with is, I think, and this will probably feed into the score predictions because that's what I want to do next, but usually I think I have quite a good idea of how I think a game will start or how I think it will go in certain periods. I don't really know with this one. It varies from me thinking we will come out and just try and absorb their pressure, let them come out fast and just soak it up, see what we can do to, feel our way into the game and just try stay in it. And then if we get to like the second half, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, then try and go for the win. There's another part of me that thinks we might come out and try swing at them and try put them under pressure. It's one where I'm really not sure how this will go. Usually I have quite a good idea, feeling-wise, on what I think will happen. But this one, I've got no idea, to be honest. It's a really tough one to call. So on score predictions, get yours in the chat. If I had to predict how I think the game will go, I think City will look... I think both teams will come out slow. I don't think either team will come out all guns blazing and try and feel the other one, try and knock the other one out. I think both are going to come out and try assess, because I think there's so many unknowns with both teams right now, in terms of like injuries and if people are bluffing and this and that. So I think a lot of the first 5 to 10 minutes is probably going to be sussing each other out, like who's occupying what zones, how are they approaching things in possession, out possession. And then, like, we see Arteta's like touchline coaching, right? I think it will be a case of that, feel it out and then react and adapt. And I back this team. I really back this team and this coach and the management staff to tactically win this game. I believe that. It's not a feeling I've ever really had in these big games away from home. But I back this group to understand what is going on in front of them and react and adapt in a way that gives us the best chance to win. One thing, just skipping back one more piece in terms of lineups. I know a lot of people have seen talking about like Zinchenko or Tomiyasu starting at left back. I think Kiwior will keep his place. I think Tomiyasu only played in that behind closed doors friendly, and I don't think we need Zinchenko in this game where Jorginho, in my opinion, will play as well. So I think Kiwior will keep his spot. But going back to the score predictions, I'm going for a 2-1 win to the Arsenal. I don't know who will take the lead. And obviously, if they take the lead, it's hard to then see us coming back from behind to win. But I think it'll be a really cagey game for most of it. I think, like I said, both teams really feeling each other out. But I think we'll be on top in terms of who has the better understanding of what is going on in the game. I think we'll have the stronger 11 based on squad selection and stuff as well. And I think they have more weaknesses and vulnerability than this Arsenal team does. And I think we'll be the ones exploiting that more than they will be on ours. And that's why, as a result, I actually think we're going to go there and win. Whether it's 1-0, 2-1, I think it will be tight. But I really think we will go there and win this game. And again, big claim, I don't think we'll lose this. I think it's draw minimum for me. I think this team is that good that they will go there and more than hold their own. I don't think it will look like we're going there as these little minnows. I think we will go there, and City will, of course, have periods where they're in complete control. They dominate things. But I think it will be us keeping them at arm's length. Again, the boxing analogy, like jab them away, jab them away. I don't think there'll be many periods where they have us on the ropes and exploit us per se. Whereas I think there could be periods where we get in behind Rodri and Rodri's isolated and we've got people running at them, Akanji, Diaz, Ake, Vardio, and I think they'll be twitchy. I really believe that. So if I had to put my money on it, I'm going 2-1 to the Arsenal, and fuck me, I hope I'll be in dreamland if that's happening, obviously. What have the guys in the chat said? Uncle Mike, just don't get embarrassed. He's gone 2-1 to the Arsenal as well. George Graham, first half 0-0. Yeah, I think so as well, to be honest. Bungle said the same. Draw the first half, win the second half. Like that, this is mind-blowing to me. I don't think we've ever been in a situation like this going to the league, the league holders and thinking we can actually go away and win. And like you just rewind to a few years ago, right, where we were just going and trying to not lose 3-4-0 and just like damage limitation. It's unbelievable where we're at, really. So let's enjoy it. It's fuck me. It's it's gonna be a ride, isn't it? But yeah, I think we can do it. I really believe we can do this. And in the context of what that then does for the title race, holy shit. But even if we win, I'm just like, enjoy it. It'll be an unbelievable moment in this group's journey. But then it's like, there's no time to kind of lap it up, just onto Luton, really. I think it's going to be challenging. Like I said, it's I'm quite apprehensive about how we manage the every 3 days thing. If I'm being honest, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not sure. And it's just because I've not seen it yet from this group and this coach. I'm not sure we will sustain the level we can play at every 3 days. And like you only have to look at that December period where they got burnt out, right? So fingers crossed we have a fully fit and fresh and available squad that we can really maximize and utilize over the next period. But Arteta's going to need to trust people a little bit more as well. But let's start there tomorrow. Let's go there. Let's try and get the 3 points. Let's, at the bare minimum, not lose. I think for me, yeah, this is definitely a must not lose game. Like, I think if City win this, then the momentum shift changes. And I don't think it will affect I don't think we'll then go on a streak where we lose a few games or anything, but it's more, there's just no room for error at the minute. So that's why I think it's a must not lose. But yeah, man, if I'm putting it out there, I think we're going to win. Uncle Mike said the same. Bungle said the same. So let's fucking do it. Road trip for me tomorrow with my mates. There's no train, so we're driving all the way up to Manchester and back. Pissed off the mother. Sorry, mum, because of it's Easter Sunday, but The Arsenal is my religion. So let's fucking go and do this. Up the Arsenal. Come on.